The Detroit Lions came away feeling a lack of respect from the New Orleans Saints. There were a lot of fights. The coaches said it was spirited practices, but the Detroit Lions want to get even. In order to do so today, they have to establish a running game early in this contest.
Gary, like the Lions, New Orleans is 1-1 at this point in the season. What about the game plan from New Orleans' perspective?
Last week in Atlanta, the New Orleans Saints had a sloppy victory. There were just too many mistakes, they had too many penalties and too many turnovers, but the good news is they generated over 200 yards rushing on the ground, and that's something we're going to see here today down in Detroit as well. But I think this is really a back-to-basic football game for both teams. It may not be pretty, there won't be a lot of bells and whistles, but I guarantee you this is going to be one very physical contest.
Kicking off will be New Orleans. Morton Anderson, graduate of Michigan State, will be kicking back deep for the Lions. And this is Butch Woolfolk taking it in the end zone, deciding to down it. So the Lions will take over at their own 20. Chuck Long, third-year quarterback out of Iowa, will be at the helm. The defense that he'll be facing are the Saints. Jumpy Gathers, Tony Elliott, Jim Wilkes. New Orleans linebackers, that's the strength of the New Orleans defense. Jackson, Mills, Johnson, and Swilling. And the secondary, Gene Atkins has moved up to starting strong safety, replacing Antonio Gibson, suspended for 30 days for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. So 1st and 10 for the Lions at their own 20. Long to pass on first down, complete to the sideline, Pete Manley. And the Detroit offense that Chuck Long will be working with. Gary James, James Jones, wide receivers Pete Manley and Gary Lee. And the offensive line anchored by Lomas Brown. Gain of 5 on the play brings up 2nd and 5. Jones and James, two backs. Long to pass on 2nd down. Complete to Gary James out of the backfield near the 1st down marker. Stopped on the play by Ricky Jackson.
One of the things that looks as though Detroit Lions are going to try to do is pass the ball. We talked about their need to establish a running game here early in the game, but I think they're going to test to see whether or not they can have those possession passes as well.
And Detroit successful in the opening drive, picking up the 1st down. Ball is marked at their own 31. Long. 3rd straight pass attempt, going deep, looking for Manley, just beyond the outstretched arms of Manley, but there is a flag on the play. And the initial signal goes against the Saints. Dave Waymer was the quarterback covering.
Looks as though Darrell Rogers wants to come out flying here, opening series.
44 defense, 1st down.
Caught Dave Waymer on a hook and go pattern. Now they've thrown 3 straight times.
And the Saints continuing a bad trend started in game 1. 19 times for 154 yards in the last 2 games. First penalty of the afternoon. 1st down for the Lions. Ball marked at the 46 of New Orleans. In motion, Pete Manley. And this is James Jones. And Jones up over the top, down to about the 39-yard line. Make that the 41, stopped by Pat Swilling.
Well, if we're going to have some success for the Detroit Lions on their running game today, it's primarily going to be to the left side. Number 75, Lomas Brown. Good blocking there. Swilling playing a little bit soft for some good yardage for the Detroit Lions.
Brings up a 2nd and 4 for the Lions. Looking impressive on the opening drive. And the handoff to James. And James to the left side, close to that 1st down marker.
This is one guy who wants to have a good ball game today. He's from Louisiana. Went to LSU. Talked to him yesterday. Says, yes, there is a natural rivalry between he and Hilliard. Both of them are very good running backs. Played together in tandem at LSU. And he wants to have a good game for his mom and dad back home.
53 is an eligible receiver.
At Gary James. Last week in 27 plays, gained only 28 yards. That coming in the second half. 3rd and 1 for the Lions. Ball at the 37 of New Orleans. This is James. Dives into the middle of the pile. Looks like he got the necessary inches needed. Jim Wilkes on the stop. You think they made it?
Tell you what, this isn't a large crowd, but if they didn't, they wanted to go for it. Wilkes got good penetration on that play. It's going to be very difficult all day for them to run inside against a very strong Saints defense.
And the Saints have forced the Lions into a 4th and inches situation. 53, the eligible receiver for the Lions is Kevin Glover, left guard. And the Lions are going to go for it. Play action. Intended receiver was Pat Carter, the tight end. And the Lions will turn it over to the New Orleans Saints.
You don't think that offensive coordinators steal plays? This is pretty much the same play that Atlanta ran for a touchdown, play action fake to their tight end. But this time, good coverage by the Saint defense does not allow them to get the first down, and they take over control with the ball.
And the Saints will start with good field position at their own 37.
And
Michigan, no score in the ball game. Bobby Hebert, the quarterback with the hottest hand in the league, guiding the New Orleans Saints. 1st and 10 for New Orleans. Ball on their own 37. And the handoff to Dalton Hilliard. He's met in the backfield by Michael Kofer. And the defense of the Lions, Eric Williams, Jerry Ball, and Keith Ferguson. Linebacking core, Jimmy Williams, Chris Spillman, the rookie out of Ohio State, Dennis Gibson, and Michael Kofer. And the secondary with the rookie Benny Blades playing strong safety, playing with a very badly bruised thigh, but he's giving it his all. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 for the Saints. Ball again at their own 37. Eric Martin in motion. And this is Hilliard, the ball carrier. Hilliard, a pickup of about 2. And the offense that Bobby Hebert is working with. Dalton Hilliard, Craig Hayward, running backs. Eric Martin and Lonzel Hill at the wide receiver positions. Offensive line. John Tice moved up to a starter in place of the injured Hobie Brenner. Pickup of 3. 3rd and 7 for the Saints. 4 wideouts in. Hebert to pass, looking for Martin. And Martin had it on his fingertips. Close coverage by Bobby Watkins.
They blitzed that time. Hebert picked it up. Same pattern, inside pattern, but it was incomplete. Good defensive coverage by number 27, Bobby Watkins, to break it up.
So the Saints will have to punt this one away. Brian Hansen, 5th-year player out of Sioux Falls, gets it away. And Manley of the Lions calls for the fair catch. Bobbles it, but does recover. So the Lions will take over at their own 19 as Manley lucky to come away with the ball. These two teams are all knotted at 4-4-1, but the most famous moment came in 1970 when the Saints trailed by 1 point.
Tom Dempsey will have tried to kick the longest field goal in National League history. They're sending him on with 2 seconds left. Scarpetti will hold. the snap. The ball is down. Dempsey kicks. It's on the way. It is good. It's good. It's good. The Saints have won. The Saints have won.
That was a 63-yard field goal. Quite an effort.
And an NFL record to boot. 1st and 10 for the Lions. And the handoff goes to James. James trying to turn the corner. Out of bounds at the 21-yard line. A flag on the play. Dave Weimer running them out of bounds. A 2-yard pickup by Gary James. And Johnny Greer, the crew chief, gives the initial signal.
Face mask. 44 defense. Still first down.
Dave Weimer is having a difficult first quarter. This is his second penalty in 2 series. You can see there, inadvertent face mask. And I tell you what, sometimes when you go against those big running backs, you grab whatever you can get just to hold on to make sure you make the tackle. And that time, 5-yard penalty.
Phoenix on top of the Bucks. Early action there. First and 5 for the Lions. Ball at their own 26. No score. 10 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Ball back to pass with plenty of time. And it's complete. Near the 40-yard line, Gary Lee with the diving catch. On a stop, Sam Mills. Let's check in for an NFL Today report with Brent Musburger.
Well, James, the Washington Redskins went with Jim Lachey in the offensive line, and they strike first against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is their sensation of last year's Super Bowl. Timmy Smith, 19 yards out, 7-0 skins over the Eagles. Back to James.
All right, Brent, an awful lot of respect the Redskins give the Eagles, knowing that they would have to strike first, and they've done just that. It's a first down for the Lions. This is James, the ball carrier. So about the 41-yard line, Ricky Jackson in on the start. Ricky Jackson, the left outside linebacker, says this ought to be his Pro Bowl game today.
Well, I tell you, we talked about them having a lack of respect. I think Ricky Jackson and Pat Swilling really feel that they can get in there, and if they blitz enough, they're going to get to a young Chuck Long very often today. But again, I think one of the problems on the first series is that the Lions passed the ball so much on the first series, they didn't establish that run blocking tempo that all offensive lines like to do.
2nd and 7 for Detroit at their own 42. Lamb in motion. Play action. Ball complete to Mark Lewis. And the 3rd-year player from Texas A&M gives the Lions a first down in New Orleans territory.
The last 2 weeks, the New Orleans Saints defense has allowed tight ends to have excellent days. And it looks as though they're having trouble locating the Detroit Lions tight end as well. Lewis, a free agent from Green Bay, wide open in the secondary.
And supporting your point about tight ends having good days against the Saints defense, John Frank for the 49ers, Higdon and Wisenhunt for the Falcons. And Mark Lewis is a little shaken up on a play as you see him being tended to, and a little concerned, I guess, at the tight end position in that Rob Rubick, longtime veteran with the Lions, was released earlier this week. Lewis moved up to a starting position. Chuck Long, starting off statistically sound, 4-5, 47 yards, and has been spreading the ball around to 4 different receivers. And Long smacked hard by Vaughn Johnson.
They're coming from the left side of the screen or the right side of the screen. Number 56, Swilling and Johnson. It looks to me like they're just playing the run, get an opportunity to come in and make the play. And boy, whew, that is a tremendous hit by a linebacker. Last week, Chuck Long was knocked out in the Ram game. So I wonder whether or not this might make him a little bit gun shy on these play action passes.
That was a hard enough hit to bring back bad memories. Pushes the Lions back, 2nd and 17. Ball on the 42 of New Orleans. This is James. And James gets it back near the 40. Vaughn Johnson on that stop, a pickup of 2.
The Lions today really have to establish the running game. So far, they're trying to keep the Saint defense off balance by running play-action passes. And I think as we go through into this game, if they're not able to establish the running game with 33, James, and Jones, they're going to have a very difficult time trying to win this game by passing alone.
Not much of a gain on that play, bringing up 3rd and 15 at the 40 of the Saints. No score. Out of the shotgun, 3 receivers in. And long, complete to Gary Lee. Now the question is where they will mark the ball, as Gary Lee was down near the first down marker. And Johnny Greer is signaling for the measurement as we take a look at the play.
What appears the philosophy from the Detroit Lions is that they're going to pick on Dave Waymer, the veteran from Notre Dame. Lee open, nice throw and a nice catch.
And a first down to boot.
And a first down to boot.
So the Lions with another sustained drive. This one at the 29 of the Saints. Gary James looking for room, nowhere to go. Jim Wilkes in on the tackle.
Well, I'll tell you, you're a running back. You know when you play the Saints, you're going to have a headache the next day. It's very difficult to get running room, particularly inside. They're going to try to stretch this defense today. But Gary James said he anticipated a rough game, but he wanted the ball. He wanted to run a lot more than he did last week. Cuts inside and is met by a whole host of Saints, Sam Mills being one of them.
And big Jim Wilkes. 2nd and 8 for Detroit. Saints 22. Long, the pass again. Complete to Manley. Manley down near the 10-yard line.
Chuck Long in the first quarter appears to be a very confident quarterback. He's getting good protection by his offensive line, and he's finding the right targets. Nothing typical, they're just playing zones, but he's connecting with his wide receivers, and this is somewhat of a surprise.
Chuck Long, 6 of 7 for 75 yards. 1st and goal, ball at the 10-yard line for the Lions. Misses Gary James. And James down to the 9. 1-yard pickup. Bruce Clark and Ricky Jackson in on the joint tackle.
One of the things the Saints do so well is pursue from behind. At that time, 75, Bruce Clark came in from behind, made the tackle. Very tough to get scores once you're inside the 20-yard line, that red zone. Although the Lions have done a fairly good job so far in their first 2 games doing so.
Lions will have it, a 2nd and goal. Ball at the 9. 4:17 remaining in the first quarter. No score in the ball game. Manley in motion. Long back to pass. With time. Plenty of time. Decides to run it. And it's incomplete. Well, Gary Lee caught the ball but was out of the end zone. The official said he did not have his feet firmly planted.
But Chuck Long had plenty of time to throw that time. Couldn't find any open receivers. Gary Lee in the corner of the end zone trying to keep both feet in bounds, but he doesn't have possession of the ball.
And the official right on top of the play will bring up a 3rd and This is actually 3rd and 8. So the Lions can make a first down. Long. Touchdown, Detroit. Carl Bland. A 9-yard touchdown strike from Chuck Long to Carl Bland. And the Lions are on the board first. And Eddie Murray will attempt the point after. It's up. And it's good. So Detroit takes the early lead, 7-0 with 3:51 remaining in the first quarter.
If you're a quarterback, you want to find mismatches. On this particular play, you've got a free safety covering a wide receiver, and Bland beats him to the outside, gets the touchdown. Very impressive drive here for the young Detroit Lion offense.
And the Detroit Lions saying they were not intimidated coming into today's ball game. On the board
Take a
first.
look at the instant replay here. It looks like man-to-man coverage. I said it was Maxey's fault, but having played free safety before, I'm not sure he wasn't covering up for the corner.
Eddie Murray on the kickoff. This is Gene Atkins. Across the 20, Atkins has got room. And Atkins knocked out of bounds at the 37-yard line by Rafael Cherry. A 34-yard return by Gene Atkins. Detroit, their scoring drive, 12 plays, 81 yards. Good time off the clock, 6:29. Long to Bland. So New Orleans will get their attempt, 1st and 10 at their own 37. New Orleans with only 3 total yards. Hill in motion. Hebert back to pass. Dumps it off to Hilliard. Hilliard up near midfield. 12 to 13-yard gain for Dalton Hilliard before being stopped by Dennis Gibson.
I'll tell you what, a screen pass only develops effectively if your quarterback really sells the fact that it's a drop back pass. You take a look, good blocking, good fakes. Everybody from Detroit is falling behind the line of scrimmage. Gives plenty of opportunity for Dalton Hilliard to find room upfield.
And the man who can cut on a dime gives the Saints a first down at midfield. Their first down of the ball game. Monzel Hill drops the ball, and the Lions recover. This is Bruce McNorton.
New Orleans had problems last week with turnovers. This is nothing but a simple slant-in pattern. Nice catch by Lonzel Hill, and then he's stripped by number 43, Jerry Holmes. McNorton not only picks it up, but he's fighting for room the other direction. Makes a nice little move here, uses his blocking well. Can't get away from Tice. He's just too big a guy.
So the Lions with 2:48 taking over at their own 38-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Lions. Long back to pass. Looking for Manley. He's got it. For the first down. 12-yard pass play from Long to Manley. And Jim Mora frustrated to see the penalties adding up again. And the turnovers.
This seems to be a deja vu from last week's Atlanta game. Giving up the ball and then allowing the other team to develop some momentum early in the game. Now, I've been in a lot of games here in this Silver Dome, and once you allow the crowd to get into this game, it can be very, very important for the other team in terms of hearing your signals and fighting that big momentum.
1st and 10 at midfield for the Lions. Manley in motion. move to the 45-yard line. Ricky Jackson on the stop. Big ball game there. Your old team knotted up with the Vikings. And Washington has moved out by 2 touchdowns in front of the Eagles. That in first quarter action.
Miami's starting to unleash that very potent passing offense.
2nd and 5 for Detroit at the Saints 45. 2:05 remaining in the first quarter. Lewis in motion. This is James Jones. And Jones tries to spin his way forward for another yard or 2. At the Silverdome here in Pontiac, Michigan, James Brown along with Gary Fensick. Lions on the scoreboard first. They lead at 7-0 with 1:34 remaining in the first quarter. And the Lions looking impressive with their play selection.
Not only that, we thought they'd start out the game trying to establish the running game, but they have really found holes in the secondary of the Saints defense, and they're moving this ball through the air rather than on the run.
And Detroit is 2 of 3 on 3rd down conversions. We're at 3rd and 2. 4 receivers in for the Lions. And Manley with a very catchable ball. Tries to run before grabbing it.
And I'll tell you what, Van Jakes, number 22, is complaining because you can see at the top of the screen, looks like a pick. Manley's wide open, can't quite get it, and he had an opportunity to take that ball upfield.
For a lot of yardage. So punting for the Lions, Jim Arnold. Back deep for the Saints, Mel Gray. With a beauty. But we brought out to the 20 for the Saints, a 42-yard punt by Jim Arnold, and the Saints will take over on their own 20.
Watch number 80, Carl Bland. They've got man-to-man coverage, and he sees Van Jakes, 22, coming across, stands right in front of him. That's an illegal pick, lowers his shoulder. Van Jakes was right. Look at that. He's doing everything he can to help Manley get open, but that's illegal.
Didn't help him much anyway. It's been a Detroit first quarter, 22 plays. This is New Orleans' 6th play of the game. Hebert, the handoff to Hilliard. Hilliard got the first down. Dalton Hilliard run out of bounds by Benny Blades, and Hilliard, the 3rd leading rusher in the NFC in total yards.
This time they were running the 46, or the old Bear defense. And I'll tell you, they got outside contained, ran the counter play, and well, that's the type of hole and space that a good running back wants to see.
Hilliard coming off of a good week last week, 16 carries for 97 yards. 1st and 10 at the 31 for the Saints. This is Hilliard again. And Hilliard with energy to spare. Dennis Gibson on the stop, a 7-yard gain by Dalton Hilliard.
Get the feeling, James, that New Orleans hasn't got into the tempo of this game. They haven't had the ball much offensively. It's really been the Detroit Lions here in the first quarter, but they've got to get their running game going. Had over 200 yards last week against Atlanta, and they see that this is a real opportunity to get a lot of yards today.
Hilliard doing his part to spark them. 2nd and 3 for the Saints. This is Hilliard again. Hilliard looks to have picked up the first down, and that is the last play of the first quarter. So at the end of 1, it's the Lions leading by a touchdown. A slow starting New Orleans Saints team trailing the Detroit Lions by a touchdown. Started the second quarter here, and it was much like that last week for the Saints against the Falcons. Slow start.
I don't think Jim Mora wants to make any comparisons to what happened last week, except they won the game. You know, you take a look, the Silverdome is only about, I don't know, 3/4 of the way filled today. It's kind of a theater-like environment. And I just don't think the Saints right now are into this game yet, but I'm sure they will be soon.
I'm surprised that the estimated 40,000 fans here in a stadium that seats 80 isn't into the game a tad bit more. 3rd and 1, ball at the 41 of the Saints. Hebert, the handoff to Ironhead, and Ironhead attracts a lot of attention.
I'll tell you what, I don't think he got that first down. It's great defensive work there. Eric Williams came in from his left end position. Chris Spielman, a 3rd down on a dive play like this to a 260-pound fullback is just what line gets the initial charge. You take a look at 76, Eric Williams. He gets inside there and just stands them up. Does a good job, and it's 4th down. Saints have to punt.
Ryan Hansen. This is Manley. And Manley gets it back to the 30 of the Lions. 38-yard punt, 8-yard return. Second quarter action here in Pontiac, Michigan. The Lions leading the Saints 7-0. And the story of the game so far has been the possession of Detroit versus the Saints. Saints had to be surprised by what Detroit's doing.
Well, Detroit had the ball over 11 minutes of the first quarter. But also, they had to be very surprised how successful Chuck Long is in passing today.
And we talked about the Saints' passing defense. What are they going to need to do to tighten up a bit?
Well, I'm sure that their defensive coordinator will find a way, but they need to get some pressure on Chuck, see whether or not he can respond to that.
And when you talk about pressure on Long, that's Ricky Jackson and Pat Swilling, amongst others. Swilling and Jackson anxious to have a bit more freedom to blitz the quarterback. 1st and 10 for the Lions at their own 30. James Jones. And Jones with a 3-yard run. And the story up to this point in the game, it's been Detroit. Long, 8 of 11 for 95 yards. Detroit, impressive in the total yardage category, and have been doing the job controlling the ball, keeping it out of New Orleans' hands.
I tell you, your best defense is a possession offense, and so far in the first quarter, Detroit did a great job of keeping the Saints' offense off the field.
Second and 5 for the Lions. This is Gary James, and James dips his head and pulls straight ahead. And James running as hard as he told us he would be running today to try to show off for the folks back in New Orleans.
The Saints had just about everybody within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. I don't know if they could tell it was a running formation, but difficult when you've got only the free safety more than 5 yards deep.
Harvey Saylor, offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions, is out with a sprained ankle. Third down. Oh, under pressure. Did he get rid of it in time? Ricky Jackson with his second sack of the afternoon. Long ruled in the grasp. So Ricky Jackson living up to his pregame boast.
Well, they not only had great coverage, but they put great pressure on him. Ricky Jackson barreling down. Nobody touched him. And I'll tell you, he was lucky. Tried to throw that feeble pass to prevent the loss. But he's going to see a lot more of that today.
Jim Arnold, NFC's punter in the Pro Bowl last year. Gets away a good one here to Mel Gray. He's 29, and he evades one tackler, but not a second. So Mel Gray, with an awful lot of heart, is finally brought down by George Jamison.
The Ford Tempo GLS. A sophisticated sports sedan with true feel-of-the-road handling. Ford Tempo GLS. a sleek example of design leadership. It's a more sophisticated way to express your driving ambition.
Now get a $400 cash bonus on Ford Tempo.
This year,
Added today on opposite sides of the line, Dalton Hilliard and Gary James combined for the most total yards of any tandem in SEC history. And we asked Lion running back Gary James if deep down inside he would really like to outshine his college partner, Dalton Hilliard.
You know I will, and I know he is. I mean, we want to go out and prove that, hey, we're good running backs. We not only want to be outdo the other one, but we want to compete with the other guys in the league.
He's not bashful. 1st and 10 for New Orleans at their own 23. Hebert back to pass to Hilliard out of the backfield. Hilliard escapes one, but not a second. Boy, he's tough to bring down. Dennis Gibson finally wrestles him to the ground.
We talked about it being a physical game today. They were just in a little zone there, and Jerry Holmes, he's skinny, but he's a pretty good hitter, and he put a pretty good lick on Hilliard, but he went down instead of Hilliard.
He is awfully skinny. Does not look like a football player, but Coach Rogers says he plays like one.
Looks like a good hoops player to me. Got some thin legs.
Go for speed. 2nd and 10. Hand off to Hayward, and Hayward's got room. And the big rookie from Pittsburgh up near the 27. Well, we talked to James. What were the thoughts of Dalton Hilliard about trying to outshine his guy?
I'm just anxious to, to see how you run against our defense. Our defense is a very physical defense, and knowing that Gary, he's going to give it all his heart and all his, his best because, hey, these guys from New Orleans and, all his friends watching and looking, so he's going to really be pumped up for this game.
We'll talk more about the D. 3rd and 4 at the Saints 29. 4 wideouts in. Hebert to Hilliard with the 1st down and more. Dalton Hilliard across midfield before being dropped by James Griffin.
You let this guy get room to run in your secondary, you're off for a very long afternoon to put some motion in, set up a nice quick little screen. Looked to me like number 60 was downfield, making a nice chop block on Jimmy Williams to allow Hilliard to continue on downfield. Steve Court to me looked like he might have been lucky on that play, getting downfield before the ball was thrown.
22-yard run to daylight gives the Saints the ball at the Lions 49, 1st and 10. This is Ruben Mays.
Talking to Wayne Fontes, the defensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. They know what's coming today. They know they're going to have to face 3 good running backs. They're going to put Ruben Mays in, Hilliard. There's a big rookie up the gut. I think they're going to try to wear them down. And I think these Lions, we talked about, there were some fights during the preseason. These guys are looking for respect. And so far today, they've got it.
There's Wayne Fontes. 2nd and 8 for New Orleans at the Lions, 47. Hebert across the middle. Complete. Inside the 40 to John Tice, the big tight end out of the University of Maryland.
Of course, he's starting today because Hobie Brenner has an abdominal muscle that was pulled in last week's game. I don't think they're too worried. Both those tight ends play quite a bit in their offensive scheme, and Tice is even bigger than Brenner.
Coach Moore said they're pretty close in terms of their skills. Brenner may be a better catcher. 1st and 10 for New Orleans. Marching at the Lions, 39. 9:02 remaining in the half.
Turnover time.
This is Hilliard. And Hilliard. The hole may be that big, but Hilliard finds a way to get through it.
Well, if you're going to be able to run outside or inside, you have to have a tight end who can block. Tice comes down and does a good job, seals the inside, did a good job of pushing Jimmy Williams outside. Big hole for Dalton Hilliard to run to.
2nd and 3. You see his numbers on the afternoon. At Detroit 32. This is Hilliard again. He runs into Michael Cofer in the backfield.
Talked to Sam Brock. He said last week we went against 2 young green rookie outside linebackers, but we don't run into that here in Detroit today. Mike Cofer and Jimmy Williams, both outstanding outside linebackers, and watch Cofer come in and give a good lick. That's the type of running that discourages running backs from coming your way. Mike Cofer did a great job on that particular play.
Also on the play, brings up 3rd and 6. Hebert out of the shotgun. The ball is batted down.
Good job again. One of the linemen got his hands up, but it was good coverage by the secondary. 4 wide receivers really splits you out. You get caught in a lot of man-to-man defense. The corners did a great job. Great job here. Hebert plenty of time to throw, but 60, Reggie Rogers, the #1 draft choice last year for the Lions, bats the ball down before he can get beyond the line of scrimmage.
So Morton Anderson will be attempting a 53-yard field goal. He's hit 4 field goals this year. It's up. And it's going to be short. So Morton Anderson comes up short on a 53-yard field goal attempt. And the Lions maintain their 1 touchdown pad.
The category of sedan.
Gary, we'd like to take this opportunity to pass along our best to the family of our CBS colleague, Hank Stram. And, of course, the New Orleans Saints fans know the ex-Saints coach. He's in a hospital in Indianapolis recovering from heart surgery. And from what we understand, he is in good spirits. And we know that the good coach will be back behind the mic in the near future.
I hear he's trying to tie the bed sheets together to escape the hospital. That sounds pretty encouraging.
Always active. Detroit Lions on 1st down, and Long looking and Swilling putting the heat on. Long somehow finds room and slides to the 40-yard line.
Got lucky. Pat Swilling blitzed on that play, and we talked to him yesterday. He says there aren't maybe 1 back in the league can block me. And you can see right there, it wasn't number 33, Gary James, but Long showing some nifty moves, spinning away from the potential sack and sliding very intelligently to the 40-yard line.
Probably the most frightening 4 yards that Chuck Long has picked up in his career.
Well, he doesn't want to run for daylight. He wants to run for a hole.
2nd and 6. Long. Play action. Complete to Gary Lee for the 1st down across midfield. Now, Gary Lee had been out of the game for a few series with muscle cramps.
He looks like he's having them again. Pretty warm in here, but I'm surprised he's suffering from cramps. It's not quite that warm. There is some air conditioning.
And that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Trying to stretch it out. Play action passes are working very well so far in the 1st half for Detroit. Keeping that rush away. Chuck Long is finding time to find the open man in those zones.
And a 14-yard gain on that play. And wow, with 109 yards, 1 touchdown. So he's coming out looking very, very strong. 6:03 remaining in the half. Detroit leading by a touchdown. 1st and 10 for Detroit. And Long is greeted in rude fashion by Ricky Jackson.
And he's hurt.
The 3rd sack of the afternoon for the Saints, and Long, much like last week, shaken up badly.
Terrell Rogers doesn't look too pleased. They have to know that the blitzing outside linebackers are going to come. And if your backs don't do the job, and if that's a block, you're in real trouble. And he gets them from behind, which is always a very dangerous. Chuck Long welcomes him, turns him around, and Ricky Jackson just gets a devastating sack on this play.
An amazing job on Long's part just to hold the ball.
Really was. Looks as though it was meant to be a quick developing screen. He's coming by. You see, they're trying to set up a screen pass, but Jackson just gets there too fast. Doesn't allow Long to get away. And they blitzed not only 57 Ricky Jackson, but Pat Swilling came in from the other side for the sandwich.
Reset the clock to 5:50.
Man, no wonder those guys were licking their chops. They're going to be coming an awful lot today. You look at Eric Hipple, he's smiling now, but he's hoping that Chuck Long's okay, so he doesn't have to go in there.
Well, Jackson told us last week that he felt he should have been in the Pro Bowl last year. And again, you get the impression he's not the kind of guy who brags and can't back it up.
Well, you know, all linebackers know now that the guy who goes to Hawaii for that Pro Bowl gets a lot of sacks and gets those stats. And they know they need that, and they're going to get a lot of them if the Detroit Lions do a better job of blocking them today.
From the home of the Detroit Lions, the Silverdome. Lions on top, 7-0. James Brown along with Gary Fensick. And it's been a Detroit first quarter and a half, but the Lions will make that the Saints defense is really rising to the challenge.
I think the Saints are starting to wake up here. They're only down 7-0. It's time to make something happen. No better way than to cause a fumble or interception if you're a defensive player.
Eric Hipple in at the quarterback spot for the Lions. 8th-year player out of Utah State. And a flag is dropped before the play is run.
You know, after
Delayed offense, still second down.
You know, after a quarterback goes down or you have an administrative stoppage, you only have 30 seconds to get the next play off rather than the new 45-second rule.
Brings up 2nd and 24, and remarkably, from Detroit's perspective, their first penalty of the game. Hipple out of the shotgun. Going, and Mark Lewis, I don't know whether that was nerves on his part, but that ball was right there.
Well, he had an opportunity, but he had 4 people coming at him from different angles to try to get a lick on him. I think one of them just got a good one. Great throw. He threaded the needle. You take a look here, and everybody wants a piece of him. It looks like Vaughn Johnson and Gene Atkins came over. He's lucky it wasn't worse.
Fortunately for Chuck Long, we hear that he had the wind knocked out of him only, and he will be back. 3rd and 24. Detroit, 2 of 5 on 3rd down conversions.
Well, he's just getting his thoughts together. Want to make sure you can remember the offense.
And his name.
And he did get shaken up last week against the LA Rams. Now, this is one thing. You start getting hit enough, you start getting a little punchy. Want to make sure all the marbles are together. Eric Hipple has been in that situation many times. I talked to him yesterday, and I remember a couple years ago, Wilbur Marshall hit Joe Ferguson, knocking him out of the game. Hipple had to come in. You got to be remembering that when you're a backup quarterback, you never know when the call's going to come.
Still 3rd down.
There was a replay on that last series. Checking whether or not Mark Lewis had possession of the ball. He did not. And James Jones with very little yardage, and you hear the boos. That was a 3rd and 24 call. Frank Warren on the stop.
Crowd wanted him to go deep. But I think the Saint defense was ready for a deep play, tried to run a quick draw play. I doubt, however, that a draw play is going to get 24 yards for a first down.
Mentioned that Jim Arnold was NFC's punter in the Pro Bowl last year. That coming after he was actually cut by the Lions, and he came back to have his best year ever. And Arnold gets a beaut away at the 19-yard line, and Gray is hit hard as he falls across the 20 to the 22, and he's slow in getting up. Shelton Robinson, slow himself, but he was the one who delivered the hit.
We mentioned this was going to be a physical contest. Shelton Robinson, a linebacker, coming up, and he gets it everything he's got. And it's a heck of a collision. Both players down on the play.
They smack helmets hard.
Man, that's the kind of headhunter you want. You're a linebacker and you're a backup. You don't get many opportunities to get this kind of stick. Woo! Everything. 230 pounds, running 50 yards downfield, full steam.
A 41-yard punt, a 7-yard return by Mel Gray.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 44. First down.
Holding on that play, we did not see the flag down on the field at all. But Waymer, the culprit again.
Dave Waymer has 3 penalties in the first half alone.
So the Saints will be operating out of a hole at their own 8.
This is though they didn't give enough time to the Saint offense to regroup. Johnny Creer just put it back to 30 seconds on the clock.
And again, that coming after an administrative stoppage. First and 10. Ball at the Saints 8. Abear, back to pass. Looking for Tice. He's got him for the first down. John Tice.
Free safety. If you're a free safety, you got a big guy like this. It looks easy, but it's not very easy when a guy weighs 245, 250 pounds. Cherry's coming up, has an opportunity, boom, to hit him. But you know what? I don't even think the guy felt it. Just went down now, no big thing. I'm used to being hit by bigger and better.
Tice is 6'5", close to 250. He can take it. 19-yard pickup. First and 10 at their own 28. Abear on first down. To Tice again. This is the first game of a doubleheader today here on CBS. Coming up in game 2, the New York Giants playing the Dallas Cowboys, and the Atlanta Falcons will travel to play the 49ers out in San Francisco. Coming your way after the game today. Second and 4 for the Saints. And Cliff Benson, recently signed by the Saints, is stopped by Benny Blades. And that's enough for the first down, so Cliff Benson delivers.
Well, they went to a 2 tight end, 2 wide receiver offense on that. Right now, they're just dropping back, trying to find the open receiver in those zone coverages that the Lions are running.
Lonzel Hill, the bottom of your screen. Eric Martin at the top. First and 10 at the 39 of New Orleans. 2:17 remaining in the half. New Orleans trailing by a touchdown. Hilliard. And Hilliard. Those good shake and bake moves serving him well as he gets out near the 44-yard line. So we're at the 2-minute mark of the first half. New Orleans trailing 7-0 to the Lions. At halftime, Brent Erb and Dick Butkus with scores and highlights, and Butkus paid a visit to Dallas this week to report on what we understand is the latest in high-tech facilities called Cowboy World.
Maybe this is free advertising since Cowboy World and the Cowboys are up for sale.
Well, what would the Bears call their facility if they had a brand new one?
Something probably corny like Bear Den.
You'll want to stick around and check that one out coming up at halftime. 2nd and 5 for the Saints at their own 44. Eric Martin in motion. Play action. This is to Tice. And Big John Tice is run out of bounds by Jerry Holmes, but not before picking up the first down. Big John Tice paying dividends.
Looks as though they found the tight end offense here. Seemed to be some confusion on coverage. Made his third catch of the afternoon.
That one for 9 yards, and the Saints, who, as you indicated, have been getting exploited by the tight ends, using their own.
Well, the other thing is that they're going to start relying on Abar's arm rather than his running game in these last 2 minutes of the game. First half, let me correct myself.
1:54 exactly. On first down, Abar back to pass. He's got Lonsdale Hill in Lion territory. So Abar to Hill. Rafael Cherry and Dennis Gibson on a stop. A 19-yard pass play.
Isn't it amazing how an offense can go from pretty quiet, can't get the passes completed, and suddenly a good quarterback just gets hot and rips you apart. Look here, plenty of time to throw across the middle to Lonsdale Hill. Knows he's going to get hit, tucks the ball.
On first down, Abar back to pass. He's got Hill again. A flag on the play. Score the touchdown, but we'll have to check the flag.
Referees discussing this one. Who pushed who is the question.
Get a look at Ricky Jackson's new hairdo.
Man, look at that neck collar he's got.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 43 defense. It's declined. Touchdown's good.
Jerry Holmes, the culprit. So the touchdown from Abar to Hill stands. And the Saints strike with 1:15 remaining in the first half.
I don't know what happened here, but no matter what, when a guy catches the ball, you've got to chase him down. And you look at Holmes and he quits. He just stops, almost runs into his safety.
And Morton Anderson knots the ball game up with that point after. And the Saints tie the ball game at 7 apiece. 1:15 remaining in the first half. New Orleans striking right before halftime to get back in it. And I guess one should not be too surprised at the statistics that Bobby Abar is racking up. 7 plays, 92 yards, 258. Abar is very familiar with this field.
Well, it was 7 plays, but it was 6 passes. Abar, the top-rated quarterback in the NFC going into this game. It's showing the balance that this offense has, both running and the ability to throw to their wide receivers.
Abar winning a USFL championship here on this field back in 1983.
I think he's a lot more interested in trying to win an NFL championship in 1988.
No doubt about that. Anderson gets a high kickoff. Woolfolk across the 20. Up near the 25-yard line, Butch Woolfolk stopped by Buford Jordan. And Woolfolk slowly getting up off the field.
Take a look at the instant replay, top of your screen, number 43, Jerry Holmes on Lonsdale Hill. Hit him in the face right there, and you can see it's illegal. But more importantly, Lonsdale Hill didn't quit. Got the ball and continued running, outrunning the 2 defensive backs for a nice touchdown.
Lonsdale Hill, 3 catches for 57 yards, a very productive first half. That's Butch Woolfolk.
Take a look at that if we can get an instant replay, because that was an ugly looking cut. You can see he cut off his knee, and it looked as though he might have some knee damage. Hopefully it's just his ankle. I hate to say anything because I've laid on that turf before. It doesn't look as though he's in a lot of pain, but took a very awkward cut. And you can say that the knee definitely looked as though it might have buckled. Finds a hole, and now he's going to try to cut to the outside. Watch this. You see that? Oh my God, his knee it went in a direction that I don't think it should have. Just hope he doesn't have a very serious problem, but you look as though it is a knee.
Doesn't look promising at all for the Lions. Butch Woolfolk, second in NFC amongst kick returners.
You know, one of the problems you have, sometimes artificial turf just grips too well. You make too good a cut, and your body can't take the enormous torque that's developed.
Well, after clearing his head, Chuck Long is back at the quarterback spot for the Detroit Lions with 1:09 remaining in the half. 1st and 10 at his own 24 out of the shotgun. Complete to James Jones out of the backfield.
Going to go to that hurry-up offense.
On 2nd down to Gary Lee for the 1st down near the 40.
Timeout, Detroit, number 2.
In college football action yesterday, LSU, a winner over Tennessee, comfortably 34-9, and Auburn, a big winner over Kansas. And that'll be setting up a matchup next week as number 6 Auburn and a big SEC matchup against Tennessee. Auburn with 85,000.
Take a look at Butch Woolfolk there, kind of isolating that knee, and doesn't look very promising. Certainly doesn't look as though he'll be back today.
41 seconds left in the half. Lions at their own 40, 1 first down. Long throwing in the direction of Carl Bland. Incomplete. Long in the first half, 11 of 15 for 125 yards and 1 touchdown.
This is where I think experience really shows. You have a young quarterback in Chuck Long, and talk to the veteran quarterbacks, Bobby Hebert, Jim McMahon. This is the most difficult part of the passing game to really grasp, and that is the 2-minute off.
Why? Why?
Question. I'll let you know after this play.
On 2nd and 10, out of the shotgun. Long looking for Bland again. This time he's got him. 1st down.
I think young quarterbacks, when they see the 2-minute offense, have a tendency to maybe panic a little bit or not take as much time as they should. But you also have a chance to see a lot of different defenses from the secondary. But this time he has time to throw, and he throws a wonderful pass to Bobby Bland here. Keeps both feet in. Completion.
14-yard play from Long to Carl Bland. Nickel defense for the Saints end. 1st and 10 at the 45 of New Orleans. And a good effort on Carl Bland to come back. And you notice Chuck Long had those nervous feet on that play, but you can't blame him.
I know that Reggie Sutton, 29, was right there. Both the wide receiver and the defensive back had a great opportunity to either intercept or catch the ball. And one of the raps on Long is that he has a long delivery. It takes him a long time to release that football, which gives your defensive backs, your linebackers, time to jump on his pass.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll check in up in New York with Brent Musburger, Herb Cross, and Dick Butkus. They'll bring us up to date on all the action taking place today in the NFL. We've got a tied ball game here, 7-7. 25 seconds remaining in the half. On 2nd and 10. Looking for Bland, and Bland's got it. A great individual move by Carl Bland. 35-yard play.
This is nothing but a 9 pattern, a go pattern. Plenty of time to throw the ball, and real nice kind of stop and accelerate. Uses his hands to catch that ball. That was a big play prior, with only 19 seconds to go prior to half.
Carl Bland has certainly added some excitement. 3 catches for 59 yards in his time in the game. And the officials stop the action. Perhaps it's being reviewed. It is, in fact, being reviewed. And the replay official is Al Sabato.
Carl Bland does a great job leaping up for this ball. Does he keep both feet in? I don't think. It's difficult. They have to decide whether or not he had possession of the ball. And it looks as though he did.
The play stands. First down.
And that makes it 1st and goal for the Lions with 19 seconds remaining in the first half. Long. Looking for Bland again. Touchdown. There's a flag on the play. We'll see if it stands. Touchdown for the Detroit Lions, and what a horrible day for Waymer.
Dave Waymer wants to find a hole in the Pontiac Silverdome. I believe that is his 4th penalty in the first half alone. Again, the Lions went in corner patterns similar to what they did on their first touchdown.
Eddie Murray on the point after. It's up, and it's good. And the man they call money, Eddie Murray, gives the Lions a 14-7 lead. Carl Bland, 4 catches for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Having the type of day you want to have. Man-to-man coverage, nothing difficult about it. Beats Waymer, going inside and then out. Nice over-the-shoulder catch. Dave Waymer is not a very happy cornerback, but Carl Bland certainly is a happy wide receiver. Offensive line's giving plenty of time to throw this football. This is something they practice day in and day out. Gave him an in move, heading for the pylon in the corner of the end zone. Nice throw, great catch, nice spike.
A milestone of a day for Carl Bland, his first ever 2-touchdown performance in his 5-year career. Young man out of Virginia Union. And Chuck Long answering some critics, looking impressive in the first half. 7 plays, 76 yards, 55 seconds.
Not that was a very impressive 2-minute defense. Looked as though they were going to struggle a little bit, but again, that offensive line is giving them plenty of time to throw the ball. There is no pressure from the Saints defense right now. They're dropping back into zones, but he's finding the open man.
So at 14 seconds remaining in the first half, Eddie Murray gets off a low kick. Out of bounds, and the ball will be at the 35-yard line for the Saints. Of course, that's a rule that went into effect last year. Eddie Murray not pleased.
We have a kickoff out of bounds. The ball belongs to receivers at the 35-yard line. First down.
You also have the option of taking the ball at the 35-yard line, which the Saints are going to do with only 14 seconds to go in the first half.
Murray not very pleased, as I mentioned, began the 88 campaign as the 4th all-time kicker. 72% accuracy. As you take a look at Jim Mora.
Not wearing those headphones this week. Didn't wear them down in Atlanta. Said he didn't know why.
14 seconds left in the half. Hebert to Hilliard. Hilliard trying to get to the sidelines, being roped down by Benny Blades. Timeout is called with 5 seconds remaining. 16-yard sprint by Dalton Hilliard. Minnesota still on top by 10. Washington maintaining that 11-point lead over the Eagles at halftime. Timmy Smith with a 19-yard run there. Phoenix really expanding that lead over Tampa Bay. And of course, Brent Irv and Dick Butkus will have all of this and more coming your way at halftime.
Jets are a big surprise over Houston there.
Rafael Cherry.
Well,
with the Washington Redskins.
This is the play you get nervous on. You're going to pull 3 wide receivers, a Hail Mary, pull a grace pass. Everybody tries to tip it up, keep it active so you can catch that football for a touchdown. drives defensive players crazy. It drives that defensive coordinator nuts because it's a luck play.
6 seconds for the Hail Mary play. Saints at midfield. And it's complete to Robert Clark. So the quick pass to try to get in field goal range for the Saints. And Morton Anderson, knowing he's about to be pressed into duty.
He may get a chance here, James, to match Tom Dempsey's 63-yard effort.
And if that takes place, it'll be about a 57-yard attempt. But they're not going to do it. With 2 seconds left in the first half. Hebert out of the shotgun. This will do it for the half. Jimmy Williams intercepts it. And the Lions will go into the locker room at the half with a 1-touchdown pad. And Jim Moore has plenty more to talk about.
You said this is a Hail Mary pass. Good rush, though, by Detroit. I'm not quite sure why Bobby just didn't throw that. I guess he just didn't really get the time. Threw up as far as he could. Nice interception by Williams.
So that'll do it for the first half. Detroit leads it 14-7. And the Lions leading it by a touchdown over the Saints on this doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. Gene Atkins decides to take it out of the end zone. And he's dropped at the 15. There are flags on the play. William White on the stop. And it'll go against the Saints.
Holding, 86 on the run back. First down.
Cliff Benson, the culprit.
Bobby Hebert obviously having a great first half, and this is just about where he started his 2-minute offense at the end of the second quarter.
Picking up where he left off last week when he was 20 of 27 for 222 yards. Hot hand indeed. 1st and 10 for the Saints. Starting the third quarter, back at their own 8. This is Dalton Hilliard. And Hilliard smacked hard. Chris Spielman and Dennis Gibson.
A couple young guys. Chris Spielman, 2nd-round pick, along with a 2nd-year player, Gibson. They are 2 young, active inside linebackers. Boy, they both gave a good stick on that one.
And in case those Saints fans may be wondering why Mel Gray didn't take that kickoff, he suffered a blow to the head. We saw that, so we'll find out if he'll be back in the second half of this game. 2nd and 8 for the Saints. And Hilgenberg is up first on the offensive line.
Looked as though they might have been trying to audible on that. They were facing the 46 defense. Joel Hilgenberg's parents today are watching the Minnesota-Chicago game.
Still 2nd down.
Joel Hilgenberg replacing the injured Steve Trapello at right guard, and Stan Brock, the right tackle, says he's comfortable playing alongside Hilgenberg.
Well, he says he has great technique, very intelligent. And again, he's no longer a young player. He's a veteran. Plays normally center so that he knows what the guard's supposed to do.
Although only 252 pounds, he is strong. Rather light for a guard, though. 2nd and 13. At the New Orleans 5. Hilliard. Dragged down from behind. Jerry Ball, the nose tackle, who many say has a weight problem, looked awfully fast on that one.
They did a great job. I think they faked the reverse. They were going to run that inside the 10-yard line. Take a look from the end zone. Just going to fake this out of the I formation. They're not blocking anybody. Look at 305-pound nose tackle coming free. Somebody obviously on the Saint offensive line didn't do their job.
New Orleans 3rd and 12. 1 of 4 on third down conversions. And it's complete to Eric Martin for the first down. So Hebert to Martin gets the Saints out of a major hole. Bobby Watkins running Martin out of bounds.
Eric Martin's been kind of the missing man here so far in the first half. Take a look at this replay of the play before. Got plenty of time to pass that ball. Finds Eric Martin for his first reception today. Comes into this game leading the NFC with 14 catches.
A man without blazing speed, but a good possession receiver. 1st and 10 for the Saints at their own 22. Tice in motion. This is Reuben Mays. And Mays gets back to the line of scrimmage before being driven back by Kofor and Spielman.
Again, the linebackers for Detroit doing the job. Chris Spielman, he's a rookie, but they do a great job of pursuing, stretching this out. Kofor doesn't allow him to get outside. He cuts it back into a host of blue uniforms. This guy's used to playing the run, went to Ohio State, driving those legs. Those veterans were saying both he and Benny Blades have added an enthusiasm to that defense, and you can see it there.
Coach said he was not born to be a football player, but raised to be one, he being Chris Spielman. 2nd and 10 at the New Orleans 22. Quick out to Martin, and Martin's across the 30. Chris Spielman prevented Eric Martin from picking up a lot more yardage. It was 18 as it was.
Hebert's going to find this guy a lot more in the second half. Just drops back and says, hey, I got a man-on-man coverage here. Guy, you got to make the tackle. Bruce McNorton there gave him the fist. Gets past the safety, and Chris Spielman prevents a long run down the sideline. Watch Spielman here. Doesn't quit. Got choppy little legs, but he gets him a few more, and he wouldn't have had a chance.
On 1st down, this is Hilliard, and Hilliard across the 45 to the 47 as a flag is thrown on a play. Michael Kofor on the stop. And the Saints, the gain negated. Another penalty.
You look at Jerry Ball there. He's listed at 305 pounds.
Holding. 60 offense. Still first down.
And that's Steve Court.
Not easy having a guy 305 pounds over the center. And you take a look, it looks as though number 93 and number 60 are having a wrestling match rather than a football game. Penalty against number 60, Steve Court.
Makes it 1st and 20 for the Saints at their own 30. A handoff and a good second effort to get back to the line of scrimmage by Reuben Mays. Jerry Ball and Keith Ferguson in on the stop.
They're running this 46 defense, which means that your center has to block the guy over a man-to-man because both of the guards also have people over him. And right now, Jerry Ball in the second half is establishing that, hey, I am going to handle this man by myself one-on-one, and that's the challenge for your center.
2nd and 20 for the Saints. Hill and Martin to the right. And it's complete. A great catch by Eric Martin.
Bobby Hebert is taking some quick drops here. Just a little out pattern. The linebacker doesn't quite get out there to make the play. 3 catches in the first few minutes of the second half for 84, Eric Martin.
3rd and 14. The flush package in for the Saints. To Brett Perryman, complete, and Perryman, with good speed and second effort, gets the first down for the Saints. Brett Perryman, the rookie, out of Miami of Florida, a 15-yard gain.
Just going against the zone defense, he's the fastest wide receiver the Saints have. And one of the problems that Detroit's having right now is they're just missing tackles. They're there to make the play. Benny Blades misses them, and he gets the speed, gets the first down.
Ball at the 49 of Detroit, 1st and 10 for the Saints. Hebert back to pass again, and it's complete. It's stolen away, and the official signals it an incomplete play as Eric Martin had the ball ever so short a period of time. Dennis Gibson in on the play.
It looks as though the philosophy right now the New Orleans Saints is, look, Bobby Hebert is going to take control of this game. He's not getting a lot of pressure. Offensive line doing a good job of giving him time to see the people downfield, finding the zones, and this time the ball just stripped away at the last second.
2nd and 10 at the 49. 3 receivers in for the Saints. Clark in motion. Hebert with all the time in the world, complete to Robert Clark. Good for the first down.
I don't think if you're going against a good quarterback like Bobby Hebert that you can just drop back in zones, because he's going to find the open man with the time he has to throw that ball. It's a really nice catch by 89 Clark, but the linebackers are pounding him, but he's still catching the ball.
Hebert, 18 of 22 for 229 yards, already exceeded his total yards last week by 7. 1st and 10 at the 37 of Detroit. Hebert under pressure, gets it away. Under a lot of pressure. Let's check in with Brent Musburger in New York for an NFL Today report.
James, quite a story now. The Bears and the Vikings. Dennis McKinnon is going to fumble on this punt return. Chris Martin will recover in the end zone. The Vikes are all over the Bears. More importantly, Jim McMahon out for the game, injured knee. Back to James Brown.
Very obviously a major blow for the Bears with McMahon out.
Well, everybody knows how successful the Bears are when he's in that lineup.
On 2nd down, this is Dalton Hilliard as he's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. Curtis Green, 8th-year player out of Alabama State.
They're not having a lot of success with the running game right now. I'm sure they're just trying to keep him honest. This is kind of an uncharacteristic drive for the Saints. But boy, I tell you, Bobby Hebert has been so hot this year, completing over 70% of his passes. Had a great first half. I'm sure he doesn't mind. And you can guarantee that the wide receivers don't mind playing this passing game offense.
13th play of the drive. 3rd and 13 for the Saints. At the Lions 40. Hebert, with all the time in the world, finds Eric Martin for the first down. So Hebert, given plenty of time to get the pass off, finds Eric Martin.
He has found 7 different receivers today. This time he shows that he can scramble. He stays in that pocket most of the time, but he shows his patience. Drops back. Good coverage, really, by the Lions, protecting that inside. Gets outside, tells the guy go deeper. Finds Eric Martin. Takes a good hit by Cherry, but holds on to the ball. More importantly, he gets the first down.
Saints have had the ball on this drive for over 8 minutes. 1st and 10 at the 25. Ruben Mays. And Mays, with nifty footwork, a 9-yard gain, takes it down to the 16-yard line of the Lions. Chris Spielman on the stop.
It shows they are a balanced attack. They can pass. They have not one, but three good running backs. And Mays gives them that speed to get outside.
.640 remaining in the third quarter. Detroit leading it by a touchdown, 14-7. Surprise score there. Jets way out in front of Houston.
They came alive once they beat Cleveland.
2nd and 1. And flags on the play.
Looked like a delay of game on that one.
And this also looks like the practice sessions up in La Crosse.
You know, we talked about that earlier. We didn't really embellish it much. But
False start, 67 offense. Still 2nd down.
Stan Brock. You were talking about La Crosse?
Well, this is a continuation of 3 days of training camp up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, where the Saints practice. Look at Lockett. He's not taking it from that guy. You got Hayward on the bottom. Maybe he's paying him back. Because Hayward did some talking in La Crosse, and the Lions want to make sure he gets the message today in the Silverdome.
On 2nd down, Hebert back to pass. Intended receiver was Craig Hayward. Incomplete. Chris Billman. Step for step with Ironhead.
You know, he did a rap song up in La Crosse, and he says he was just doing what he had to do because he's a rookie and they made him sing. But the Lions didn't like some of his words, and they kind of took offense to it, and they started hitting him even when he was supposed to just be touched in some of those running drills. Tell you what, he's a big, but he's such a gifted back because he has such great feet for a guy 260 pounds.
3rd and 6 for the Saints on the Lions 20. Hebert, pass is deflected. And Eric Williams was trying to get under the deflected ball. Williams at 290 couldn't move quickly enough.
That's the second batted ball today from the defensive line. They're faking the blitz. They don't fake it. They're coming. 76, Eric Williams gets both hands on that ball. He's coming back trying to make the interception. Couldn't do it.
And Morton Anderson, 0 for 1. And it's good. So Morton Anderson boots a 37-yard field goal to bring the Saints within 4 of the Lions. In the third quarter, James Brown along with Gary Fensick, and who would have thought the Lions would have had the lead this late into the game?
I don't think it surprises Jim Moore at all. And the Lions won their opening game, had a rough second half against the Rams, but they're showing that they have a good defensive unit. Chuck Long has been passing very well.
Morton Anderson gets a good foot under this one, and Carl Painter wisely decides to down it. So the Lions will get started on this drive at their own 20. And Chuck Long will have a 4-point pad to work with. One of the finest sports facilities in the land, built in 1975, the Silverdome seats 80,000, and the only Super Bowl held in a northern city was held right here. Right now, the Detroit Lions are leading the New Orleans Saints 14-10. James Brown along with Gary Fensick, 6:18 remaining in the third quarter. This is Chuck Long. 1st and 10. Ball at his own 20. James Jones straight ahead. Stopped by Sam Mills.
We thought today the game would be, from Detroit's standpoint, the ability to run the football. But clearly, so far, it has been the passing arm of Chuck Long and his ability to find his open receivers. He's had a great first half. You see, almost a perfect day for him. Lions been giving him plenty of time to throw that ball, but he's really been they've been looking off his receivers and finding the open man.
2nd and 7. At the Lion 23. And the handoff goes to Gary James. Fooled no one. Certainly not Jim Wilkes and Ricky Jackson. And Jackson is sticking today.
They tried a trick play on this one, the Statue of Liberty, but they ran into both outside linebackers blitzing. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, if you're Gary James, you have no momentum because you're running sideways, and Ricky Jackson never broke stride.
Heard Gary James screaming all the way up here.
I'm going to give it back to you. You know, his eyes saw that he didn't have a chance. He probably didn't want to take the handoff from Chuck Long.
Chuck Long gave it up quickly, though, didn't
he? He probably saw Swilling coming from the other way.
3rd and 14. Out of the shotgun, Long. Complete to Gary Lee, but there's a flag on the play. And that first down play will be wiped away. Penalty against the Lions.
Holding. 53 offense, still 3rd down.
It's Kevin Glover, left guard, 4th-year player out of Maryland University.
Darryl Rogers not very pleased. They're digging themselves into a hole. Could be a game of field position. Glover, number 53 there, looking at a blitzer coming inside. And once you get past the man, you cannot drag him down.
That penalty cost the Lions 3rd and 22. At the Lion 13. Ball with Jackson smothering him again.
And Chuck Long is down.
And Jackson, again to repeat, saying this was his Pro Bowl game.
And he got a safety on the sack as well. I tell you what, when you're playing Jackson and Swilling, you got to know one of them's going to blitz. Chuck Long's got to know that he's coming because he sent his back out on the flat. Leads to a safety, and that's the type of big play that a defense can change the momentum of a game.
Jackson's 3rd sack of the game brings about a free kick for the Lions. It's Eric Martin taking it on his own 19. And Martin across the 30, diving to the 33-yard line.
Not only is it Ricky Jackson's 3rd sack of the game, more importantly was in the end zone, so it leads to a safety and 2 points for the Saints. I don't know what's going on here, because Gary James goes out on a pass. Somebody's got to block that guy, and I'm sure they're trying to go over the sideline. You cannot let these outside linebackers, and Ricky Jackson said, this is my sack opportunity to go to the Pro Bowl. He's got 3 alone today, and I guess he was right.
Jackson had 9 sacks. 9.5 on the season last year. He's got 5 total thus far through the 3rd game. 1st and 10 for the Saints at their own 33. And Hayward lunging forward for about a 2-yard gain. Let's check in with New York. An NFL Today report with Brent Musburger.
Well, James, the Green Bay Packers have lost quarterback Randy Wright. Jim McMahon has been knocked out for Chicago. Hugh Green leveling Wright. The storyline is here, the Packers are not quite finished. Don Majkowski, their quarterback, and they've pulled back into this one. 24, and it is now 24-17. Let's go back to James.
All right, Brent, another quarterback injured today, Wright for the Packers.
Going down like flies.
And you said before, perhaps not enough padding quarterbacks wearing. Hebert. Complete to Martin as he got down low on the carpet to receive that one. Bruce McNorton in on the stop.
You know, he almost escaped from him last series. He did get away from him, and Chris Spielman had to cover his linebacking position to prevent Martin from running down the sideline. They said, hey, it worked last series, let's try it again.
On 3rd down at the Saints 39. 3rd and 4. intended receiver, Robert Clark, way overthrown. That'll bring up a punting situation for New Orleans, as Hebert displeased with something there.
Minnesota all over the Bears, 31-7.
Kramer having a big game in that one. And the Jets, 28-3. Ken O'Brien, 3 touchdown passes, and that Jets margin over the Houston Oilers. And the play is stopped. It's going to go against New Orleans.
Some of the Detroit players jumped. Obviously, they were thrown off sides, and on 4th and 4, they initiated that contact. That would have been a costly mistake.
False start, number 61 offense. Still 4th down.
And that's Joel Hilgenberg.
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, you had to expect that would be a low-scoring game, but a tight one as well. Can't upset there if Kansas City continues to take the lead.
Brian Hansen puts away a high beauty, and Manley had the signal for the fair catch back to his own 20. A 46-yard punt by Brian Hansen. Detroit up by 2. Second game of our doubleheader here on CBS involves a big one. The Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys have beaten the Giants 5-1 in the last 3 years, so Cowboys still can do it. And the Atlanta Falcons travel to play the 49ers, Jerry Rice and company. All of that coming your way next.
Giants have big problems when they play the Cowboys. It's that cowboy mystique down in cowboy land.
And Herschel Walker looking awfully good.
At over 150 yards last time they played the Giants.
Right here, the Detroit Lions leading the New Orleans Saints 14-12. 2:25 remaining in the third. Chuck Long back to pass. And Manley was covered well by Vaughn Johnson. Gary, you said physical. It's been that way.
They put a tight end to keep Jackson out. Vaughn Johnson just comes up, sticks his arm, good pass defense, just swats it away. And they're excited. They know right now they're getting some momentum defensively. They hit the referee if he doesn't hit Pete Manley. They hit something, I know that.
2nd and 10. At the Lions 20. Out of the eye. Play fake long. Looking for Lewis, and Lewis off of his fingertips. Gene Atkins. Tight coverage.
Ran a seam pattern down the middle. Sold it pretty well. It was a play action fake. Kept the tight end over though with Ricky Jackson. Wanted to make sure at least he couldn't blitz free this time. Almost made a nice catch. This is very important for the Lions. It's got a 2-point lead. It's only their second possession in the third quarter. They need to get out of the hole here so their defense doesn't have to work around midfield.
3rd and 10. Lions only 2 of 7 on 3rd down conversions. And Jackson has just been mauling Chuck Long. Boy, Long will have some nightmares tonight.
I hope he gets up after this one. Chuck has been, he's earning his money.
And so is Ricky Jackson. 4th sack of the day.
Ricky Jackson's got to be demanding to blitz every play. He's talking to Sidwell, their defensive coordinator, saying, they will not block me. Somebody's missing it. Gary James, obviously number 33, doesn't. Boom! Oh, God. They say contact caused the ball to come out, but Chuck Long is tired of this.
And the Lions decide to go for the pass play, and Carl Painter was there. A fake out of their own end zone, leading by only 2 points.
Well, that was not intended to be a fake, but the quarterback blitzed from the outside. Jim Arnold saw that there wasn't anybody covering the wide receiver, but the wide receiver never even looked back for the ball. Carl Painter's outside outside your vision here. Arnold sees that they're blitzing from the outside, and he throws it. He's wide open, but he never even looks for the ball. Boy, I'll tell you what, even though that was open, that was not a good choice for Arnold to make. Boy, what a mistake. What a mistake and what an opportunity for the Saints to take the lead.
Saints handed the ball at the 12-yard line. We saw plays similar to this on Monday night. And Ferguson. Hebert escapes the pursuit of Keith Ferguson to take it inside the 5. And Gary, I was mentioning, we saw some craziness like this on Monday night.
Jim Arnold sees that they have no one covering the wide receiver, but Carl Painter doesn't see him. Sutton came in to blitz from the outside to try to block the punt, but he was unaware.
And you see Darryl Rogers in the bottom right hand of your screen going absolutely berserk.
Because he thinks there's pass interference there. I'll tell you what, it's one of those screw-up plays that can turn an entire game around. You look at Darryl Rogers, and he's talking to his offense saying, look, guys, we have got to start making some plays here.
2nd and 1. Ball at the 3 of Detroit. This is Dalton Hilliard. Touchdown, New Orleans. So the Saints capitalize on the Lions' mistake and being handed the ball in great field position. Saints take a lead for the first time in the game.
Darryl Rogers is pulling what little hair is left on his head after a bonehead play by a punter. You know, you practice that play, and, you know, if you see that happen, they only had one guy covering the wide receiver who's going to come down and cover the punt, but he didn't see that number 29, Reggie Sutton, was coming in from that outside position and threw it downfield for a big screw-up.
Morton Anderson pushes the Saints out in front. Their first lead of the game.
Well, there's nothing fancy. They're going to go outside with Hilliard out of the I formation. Nice blocking. Nice cut inside, really. Just did it himself. Chris Spielman doesn't have a chance of preventing him from getting inside. But boy, the play that set this hole up, the platter, Jim Arnold, the punter, kicking out of his end zone, sees it. Nobody's covering the guy, Carl Painter, who's rushing down the field to cover the punt. I can't believe that he didn't see that his guy covered him, but boy, I'll tell you what, it looks as though he was interfered by number 41, Toy Cook. Painter never even looked for the ball because obviously he didn't realize that the guy who was supposed to cover him had gone in to try to block that punt. I'll tell you what, a guy's covering you, he's right in front of you, and you don't notice that the guy leaves you to go block a punt? I mean, that's not very intelligent on Carl Painter's part either. Dalton Hilliard saying, yeah, well, I'll take that easy gift.
Confusion and mistakes aside, Dalton Hilliard continues his productive running. So take a look at Carl Painter, back for the Lions. And he's a rookie out of Hampton. Gary Lee follows the kickoff and recovers the ball, getting up near the 20, call it the 19-yard line. Football action coming your way next week here on CBS Sports. Next Saturday, it'll be the Auburn Tigers in a big SEC matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee looking for its first victory of the year. Certainly will be going to play some hungry football there. That'll be coming your way live at 2:30 Eastern Time, Auburn and Tennessee.
So far, the state of Michigan is not happy this weekend. Michigan lost to Miami. Michigan State lost to Notre Dame, and the Lions are now behind with only 40 seconds to go in the third quarter, behind 19-14 to the Saints.
Starting at their own 15. Ball on first down. Complete to Manley. And Manley with first down up near the midfield marker. A 35-yard pickup.
Chuck Long coming back to what he's done so well today, passing the football. This time they block Ricky Jackson. Nothing fancy about this pattern, but this is the difficulty. Spun outside, run down by number 28, Gene Atkins, and then run over again by the safety.
Well, that's the end of the third quarter. With the score, New Orleans 19, Detroit 14. We now pause for a word.
Good concentration.
Atkins had an interception last week. He's got one this week. Saints ball at their own 34. First and 10. Straight ahead. On the ground. Craig Hayward.
Very important series, I think, for the Lion defense. They need to get fired up. Kofor came in there that time. They played very well today. And if they can't do the job, we got a guy up here from the Detroit Pistons that they could probably use as a defensive end. You think Mahorn can play defense? The way he plays on that basketball court, he can move out some people.
I think the Lions took their aggressiveness from Rick Mahorn on the NBA courts. Hebert, back to pass on second down. Complete to Hayward, out of the backfield, and a big fella. First down yardage plus. Craig Hayward, the rookie, out of Pittsburgh, Minnesota, maintaining their lead over the Bears in the third quarter. And Philadelphia coming back on Washington, trailing by 7.
Tampa Bay taking the lead. They were down most of this game, up by a point. And look at Miami. They're not playing too bad either. And as we said, Randy Wright was injured. Marino has 2 touchdown passes in that game.
All games tightening up. Jets still maintaining their lead. As a matter of fact, increasing it by 3. Ken O'Brien with 3 touchdown passes in that one. And Cincinnati still a low-scoring affair with the Pittsburgh Steelers. First and 10 for the Saints. Martin in motion. This is Hilliard. And Hilliard up near midfield. A late flag is thrown. Keith Ferguson on the stop. And this is against the Saints.
Referee's taking a long time trying to figure this one out, aren't they?
A lot of discussion taking place today.
Personal foul, clipping, number 45 offense. Still first down.
And that's a heck of a clip coming from Craig Hayward.
I think Benny Blades, the way he was complaining, I think he's the one who was clipped. We asked Hayward what's the most he weighed. He played the Blue Bonnet Bowl at 284 pounds. He doesn't weigh anything near that today, but it's coming up here, the left side of your screen. Kind of see Benny Blades flying into the pile because he was clipped.
Hebert on first down. Complete to Martin. And Martin across the 45-yard line. In on the stop, Jimmy Williams and Jerry Holmes. Eric Martin, top-rated receiver in the NFC coming into today. He's got a little help from his partner, Lonzel Hill. Martin, number 1, Hill, number 11. Hebert would love to get the ball to them as many times as he can a ball game. Ball at the 47 of New Orleans. Second down. Lonzel Hill in motion. And this is Dalton Hilliard. Hilliard to the 50, make that the 48-yard line. Jimmy Williams in on the stop.
This second half, the Saints offense has really controlled the tempo. And now they have eaten up a lot of time in the clock in the third quarter. But you can see right now that they seem to have established they can pass or run whenever they want to. It's up for that Detroit defense now to get a turnover or stop the momentum that clearly this offense has established.
3rd and 3. 9 defensive package in for the Lions. Ball at the 48 of Detroit. Hebert looking for Robert Clark, underthrown, and another late flag. And Rafael Cherry is screaming, thinking he is the culprit. And Benny Blades' reaction gave that one away.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt it was against Detroit when you saw Benny Blades' head fall back like that. It was kind of a late flag. It's good coverage. I guess it was a little bit too good and maybe a little bit easier when you have holding.
Holding on the 36 defense, first down.
Well, no wonder Benny Blades was complaining. It was against him. And now he's hearing something. He's hearing booing. And he said that was one thing he had to get used to. He never got booed down in Florida, Miami. Let's see whether or not he holds him or not. Got his left hand somewhere, and I think it's on the body. It's all over the back. I tell you, I really got to wonder about that call. It wasn't a very catchable football.
Gives the Saints a first down at the 43 of Detroit. This is Dalton Hilliard looking for room along the right. And Spillman stringing the play out. Gary James was talking about Chris Spillman, said that the rookie is bringing an awful lot of intensity. Was even talking about him acting up in the weight room.
Well, you know, he was demonstrating to us how difficult it is to get away from these big offensive linemen, how well they hold, and he needs to get underneath them and do a bench press move to extend those arms.
American League action there.
Tell you what, if Boston wins that one, it's going to be difficult to catch the Red Sox. The Mets just getting ready for the playoffs.
2nd and 8 for the Saints at the 42 of the Lions. Hayward. Inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. Pickup of about 4.
Right now, all the Saints are going to start doing is establishing that running game, and here's Spielman faking a blitz along with Gibson. I think they both come, but Spielman reads it well. This isn't so easy, though, to try to arm tackle 45 Craig Hayward. Good job, though, by Spielman on that one. Big third down play here for the defense of Detroit.
On 3rd and 5 for the Saints. 4 receivers in. Hebert with time to Lonzel Hill for the first down, and Hill stays on his feet. Eric Williams on the stop, and Hill grimacing in pain.
Looks like he might have got a hip pointer on that. Certainly had some Rydell's bouncing off his body as he spun for the first down. Nice little juke to get away from the line of scrimmage. Inside move. Spins. Wouldn't have had a first down if he didn't stay on his feet. Did a nice job of knowing where he was and fighting for that extra yardage in the first down. Of course, he also paid the price.
At the 30 of the Lions. 1st and 10 for New Orleans. And the handoff to Mays. To the 29.
Right now, the Saints are doing exactly what they want to do. Run that ball inside, mix it up with going outside a little bit with Mays or Hilliard, and then 3rd down, relying on short possession passes that Bobby Hebert is so good at.
Lonzel Hill comes back into the game. 2nd and 9. Hebert keeping up his stats, 23 of 31, 282 yards. Craig Hayward, the rookie, split to the right. Dylan Martin to the left. This is Ruben Mays. And Mays got the first down. Benny Blades on the tackle. A 10-yard run by Ruben Mays.
And the right side of the offensive line did a great job. Hilgenberg, Brock, he forced everybody inside, gave a big hole for Ruben Mays to go outside. And we were talking to Brock, and his father's a retired fireman. He said he's now got a motorcycle with all the gadgets on it, just takes off for weeks at a time. See the blocking there? Well, I tell you what, that's almost reminiscent of a touchdown run by Ruben Mays last week.
1st and 10 at the 19 of Detroit. Hebert back to pass, good time, looking for Mays off the hands of Ruben Mays.
And those defensive players, they froze, they stopped. That ball went off of his hands. And I'll tell you what, if Chris Spielman would have continued running, he would have intercepted that football. He knows it too. There was an opportunity to get a turnover, which is in dire need right now for Detroit.
Saints leading it by 5, 19-14, 7:21 remaining in the contest. 2nd and 10. Martin to the left. This is Hayes. Hayes running hard to the sidelines. Run out of bounds at the 15.
You know, we asked Jim Mora whether or not when you have a great field goal kicker as accurate as Morton Anderson, whether or not you have a tendency to get more conservative. And he said, no, we don't even think about that. But in the back of your mind, it must be very comforting that you have a 5-point lead, very good field goal kicker, that even if you get the 3 points, you have an 8-point lead.
Third and 6. Saints 5 of 10 on 3rd down conversions at the Lions 15. And Hilliard takes the inside handoff, gets it down near the 10-yard line.
He almost popped that for a walk-in. They had 4 wide receivers. Everybody split out, faking that blitz and then coming. If he'd have popped right by there, that would have been a walk-in for a touchdown.
Lost his balance.
That's it.
Reggie Rogers on the stop. Morton Anderson in for the field goal attempt. It's up. And it's good. So Morton Anderson boots a 29-yard field goal. That increases the Saints' lead 22-14. Up to this point, it's been a battle of the quarterbacks, but New Orleans getting the edge here in the second half. Sacks 5 on the afternoon for the New Orleans Saints, and Ricky Jackson was saying he needed to have a Pro Bowl type of game. He's gotten it, and he's helped the Saints to a 22-14 lead. And that one play by the Lions seemed to be the key to kind of swing this game around in favor of the Saints.
Well, no question they did. They tried it wasn't an intentional fake punt, but they threw it out of the end zone. Carl Painter, the wide receiver, didn't see that his man was coming in to block this punt. Arnold took a risky decision here, threw it to a man who didn't even know the ball was coming. Possible interference, but it wasn't called. Led to a quick touchdown for New Orleans, and it changed the entire complexion of the game.
The first turnover for Detroit, but they paid for it. And on this kickoff, the Lions, Gary Lee on the touchback will start at their own 20. With 6:23 remaining in the contest, Lions down by 8. What would be your game plan?
Better start passing that ball. You've got 80 yards to go, but you only have 6.5 minutes left in this game, so you need 2 scores to win this ball game.
Darryl Rogers looking to see if he could get back to the first half kind of performance. In the second half, New Orleans has reclaimed control of the ball, 34 plays to only 10 by the Lions. 1st and 10 for Detroit at their own 20. Detroit trailing by 8. The shotgun on 1st down, long. Great defensive play by Vaughn Johnson.
I'll tell you what, all the linebackers have been very active today. But Vaughn Johnson's had a great afternoon, as Ricky Jackson certainly has, and all we're missing now is a sack by Pat Swilling, and I'm sure he's in that huddle going, hey guys, come on, I get some stats too.
He's dying for one.
Oh,
he
you
said
better
as much
believe
last night. Should have a good game, a couple of games coming up after this one here. New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys will be one. Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers. Action coming next on the doubleheader here on CBS. Long, 1 second down. Has the ball batted down again.
James, last week, in the second half, the Lions only had 28 yards of total offense. And so far, going into the last 6 minutes of this game, Detroit's offense has only generated 11 yards.
And Vaughn Johnson with the bat down. Well, if Ricky Jackson has been doing quite well on the sack, Vaughn Johnson is playing extremely well as well. There it is. Last week's numbers, as you mentioned. 3rd and 10 for the Lions. Under pressure. Ball gets it away. Complete to Carl Bland. The man with 2 touchdowns to his credit today helps the Lions out of a hole.
Hey, that's the missing man. He's the guy in the first half who had 2 touchdowns. He's outside. He's going to run an inside pattern, playing against the zone, finds it, makes a nice catch.
Lions in the hurry-up offense. 5:44 remaining in the contest. Ball. Puck decides to run it. And shovels it forward to James Jones. And Jones takes it for the first down up to the midfield line. Milton Mack on the stop.
Well, this certainly wasn't intentional, but Chuck Long shows his resourcefulness here. Getting a lot of pressure from that front 4, shovels it, just gets rid of it, says, look, man, I've been knocked enough today. Let somebody else take those head-ins.
1 first down. Complete to Gary James. James escapes 1 tackler with the whistle blown, and it did. So Gary James will have to settle for the ball being marked at the 45. Vaughn Johnson. Omnipresent Vaughn Johnson. Frustrations galore for Darryl Rogers. On 2nd down, handoff to James Jones. And Jones stretches forward for maybe a 1-yard gain. Vaughn Johnson in the end.
I'll tell you what, the linebackers are taking turns here, excelling. Ricky Jackson with his sacks, but Vaughn Johnson has had a very strong afternoon as well. Just because we haven't mentioned Mills, mentioned Swilling, they are the strength of this defense. They're playing very well.
An important 3rd down, 3rd and 4. And is it ruled complete? No, it is not. Gary James.
And I'm afraid to tell you who's there. I'm afraid to tell you who's there for that play. 53, Johnson. Well, the guy's all over.
I'm glad you called Brett Maxey a few plays back, as much as I called him Maxey Brett last week. Did he catch this?
You may not be able to tell from this angle, but he clearly did not catch this ball. And you can see that defensive backs know right away, hey, that thing was no good. Milton Mack making the right call.
And the Lions have to go for it on 4th down, 4th and 4. Lions, big play. Complete to Carl Bland. And Bland again delivers the Lions out of the hole.
Chuck Long feeling a lot of pressure on that one. Threw the ball, and Bland made a nice catch. What I really like about Bland is that he uses his hands. Doesn't try to catch that ball with his body. Uses those hands to catch the ball and bring it in.
Shaking up a bit, Carl Bland. Ray Roundtree in for Bland. Roundtree, number 86. Long pass on first down. Flag on the play. And a shoe-top catch by James Jones on the left sideline. But the play will be for naught.
Gary James just got run over on a bull rush by Ricky Jackson. Had to hold him to prevent him from sacking Chuck Long. Ricky Jackson knows what that call is.
Holding, 33 offense. Still first down.
Gary James.
Both he and Swilling said that, hey, these guys can't stop us. There's not a back in the NFL who can stop him. I think that Swilling said the only guy he really respected in terms of pass blocking backs was Charles White, which to me was a surprise.
And Swilling not that imposing looking.
Well, he is if you're across the line from him.
1st and 20 for the Lions. At the Saints 46. Man in motion. Gary James, the handoff. Not much of a game. Fans let him know it.
Boo Birds are out. A few Boo Birds who are left here, and there are actually quite a few. It's been a good game. Pat Swilling coming in, reading the play, getting his legs knocked out, but still coming in, making the tackle. Actually, he was more of an assisted tackle on that one.
Second down. James Jones with the reception down near the 36-yard line.
Plenty of opportunity here for the Lions to score. Perhaps try an onside kick.
And every down is important for Detroit in this drive.
Yeah, but you don't want to give up seconds like this. They're kind of walking around. This is 2-minute offense.
3rd and 9 at the 36 of New Orleans. Intercepted by New Orleans. And Reggie Sutton stops a Lions drive with a big interception for the Saints.
Big play by the defense. This ball was just overthrown. Dropping back into his zone, overthrew his man. Wide receiver didn't even look. The Sutton's there, quick. Says, hey, I got some return yardage here. Well, you get to that sideline and you have a chance of maybe going all the way, but boom! Lomas Brown took away all pretensions of him going all the way. Chuck Long is getting consolation from Eric Hipple. He's had an outstanding afternoon.
Saints, 1st and 10 at the 48. Hilliard across the 50 to the 48. And that play will take us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left in the game. Saints on top by 8. All right, Brent, ought to be good action coming up in the second game. The doubleheader here on CBS. Checking around the league, Minnesota 31-7 over Chicago. Chicago 5 turnovers. Washington only a touchdown ahead of Philadelphia. Tampa Bay trailing by 6 to Phoenix. Dan Marino tops 20,000 passing yards faster than any quarterback in history. Buffalo stays undefeated. And the Jets commanding lead over the Oilers. Boomer Esiason, 65-yard pass play there to Ed Brown. And Kansas City with Steve DeBerg at the helm, leading. 2nd and 7. This is Reuben Mays looking for some daylight. And dives forward to about the 45-yard line.
Timeout, Detroit.
And Detroit takes a timeout with 1:51 remaining in the game. Saints lead it by 8. CBS, it'll be 60 Minutes, everybody's favorite news magazine show, followed by Murder, She Wrote. And then the CBS Sunday movie, Rockabye, an action thriller starring Valerie
Bertinelli.
Thank you very much. All on that coming up.
Well, they're all saying Rockabye, Murder, She Wrote, after that throwaway on that fake punt, and they didn't play 60 Minutes. So they used all the cliches you could from CBS.
Saints on 3rd down. Hilliard. And Hilliard looks to have the first down as New Orleans will continue to eat up the clock. Darryl Rogers, boy, an up and down day for him as his team calls a second timeout. First half impressive for Rogers. Major blow in terms of a mistake in the second half.
Well, you really pointed one play, the fake punt that really turned the game around and gave the Saints the ball inside the 10-yard line in the lead. But they still played well, but that playing well isn't good enough for Joe Rogers because clearly in the 4th year, his job's going to be in jeopardy if he continues to lose here in Detroit.
Good football action coming up after this one. Giants in Dallas, Atlanta and San Francisco. And I really find that amazing. Even when the Giants in their Super Bowl year, the Dallas Cowboys found a way to beat them, owning a 5-1 record against the Giants in the last 3 years. So that ought to be a good matchup. Ricky Jackson, he loved being matched up with Chuck Long today. Hilliard spins out of trouble. And the Lions forced into using their last timeout.
Timeout, Detroit.
You hate going into that huddle. You hate going into that huddle now if you're the Detroit Lions. Looks like the game's all but over. And, you know, we were talking about the competition between James and Hilliard. Looks like Hilliard won. Dalton had a good day.
A good day indeed. Speaking of college, we talk about Hilliard and James. 0-3 Tennessee will be playing Auburn, 6th-ranked team in the country. SEC battle will be coming your way next week here on CBS next Saturday. And Gary, I thought a very telling point that you made to me in the first half, that perhaps the passing game of Detroit, while successful in the first half, was not enough to do damage to New Orleans in the second half.
Well, they knew they were going to have some pressure on Ricky Jackson at 4 sacks alone today. But you really have to get that ball control going to keep the ball out of the hands of the Saints offense. And they didn't do this in the second half.
Chuck Long, statistically a good day, but boy, he was rattled by the linebackers of the Saints.
He took a lot of pressure, but he responded very well.
Saints, 1 second and 9. Number 40 of the Lions, Hilliard. Boy, can he cut. Dalton Hilliard inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line. And the clock continues to run. So the Saints starting slow, much as they did last week, but pulling ahead in the second half.
You know what? I think Jim Mora, more than anything else, has to be very happy with the defense today. He knows the offense has been getting the points, throwing the ball well and running the ball, but he's been concerned and publicly concerned about the performance of the defense today. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, a fumble, a safety, 4 sacks by Ricky Jackson. He's one happy man, I bet you that.
45 seconds remaining in the contest. And Craig Hayward keeps it on the ground. Well, Pat Swilling offered a thought as to perhaps why the defense is slow coming around.
So they hadn't worked a lot together, but today they got some good opportunities to show what they did last year and what I'm sure they'll be looking forward to doing back in New Orleans next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Still to come, the Giants and the Cowboys. Falcons, 49ers, Jerry Rice back on track. Had his consecutive touchdown streak snapped a week or so ago.
He's by the New Orleans Saints.
Indeed. So Jim Mora comes away with his second victory of the season. Saints will move to 2-1, while Darryl Rogers' Lions squad will drop to 1-2. And of course, Darryl Rogers, accustomed to the heat here, will be second guessed by the fans and the press on that one play that turned it around for the New Orleans Saints. So for Gary.